So Anthony Naus, I guess first of all, what got you into? How long have you been involved in politics and involved in the Labor Party?
Well, my family's been involved for a long time. Recently, they've dropped out of it for family reasons and not really political reasons, just other reasons. I've always been interested in it, very passionate in politics. I don't know directly why. I think it's linked to my upbringing with in the Catholic Church, not because it's really religious, because of the ministry side and the charitable side of it. And I've always thought that government was the best way to help people and spread out give people opportunity for education, health, and more equal platform. And so that's one of the main reasons, like quality reasons, why I've gone to politics. So yeah.
Now, why the Labor Party in particular? And I guess what part of their standpoint do you think will benefit this area? You are standing, after all, in McMillan.
Yeah. Well, opportunity and prosperity for everyone. That's always been core Labor values. Social justice issues, morality issues. One issue I hope they get through is the gay marriage, equality on Gay Marriage Act. Hope that goes through next Parliament, hopefully. But for this area, we've always, Labor's always, we created the, welfare state. We've always supported, we created Medicare, we put into superannuation. Some people say it's our baby, and we've always stood up for the local low socioeconomic, and we have, this seat's very diverse with that. You have growth corridor, you have agricultural issues, and you have, places like Maui, which is, double the national unemployment, around 10-11%. So huge issues, but our policies, I believe, like the NBN and Gonski, will help to spread that, opportunity level out and have everyone on the equal playing field, which Labor's always, in my opinion, represented. So yeah.
So you'd be campaigning on national rather than, I guess, specifically local issues then?
Well, it's always a mixture. It always has to be a mixture. People are always interested. Everyone asks you more local issues than federal huge, Gonski and NBN. I don't particularly know why. Because people, I suppose why, because they hear about it more and people talk about it more on the street than those huge, nation-building projects. And they're quite complex issues. It's a lot of information to get your head around. And I suppose issues like public funding for schools and public works like pools and rec centres and all those type of things. But key issues here, especially in Warragul, would be gifts TAFE, because the state government's ripping funding $300 million out of TAFE courses, and that's we need to build a high-skilled economy. You can't have that when you don't put in funds into TAFE.
But on that note, Labor has recently put a lot of money out of universities and such. So how do you reconcile that, and how do you think that, I guess, your voice on getting local TAFE more representation will be heard by the broader party?
Well, on TAFE first, in the next 4 years, we're planning to spend about around $9 billion on TAFE and apprenticeships and all those type of things. So building, like I said, high-skilled base, so into the 21st century. With university education, being a young person yourself, you have all your friends go to uni and they always, obviously a Labor person, they always say, they're ripping money out of universities, taking all the money off them. But it's not really the case. It's really, we've doubled the funding for universities in the last 7 years. So we are the biggest advocates for university funding. And yes, the funding, it hasn't been taken away, it's just the increase of funding has been lessened. So it hasn't really money been taken away from these institutions, just the increase is not as much as it was. So, and you think, taking away that money is, severe. Imagine when Liberals get in, they're going to cut everything. We only got up to the 1996 level where John Howard was elected in. We've only got up to that level by doubling it. So it's...
Keating was the one who started some of the university changes,
cuts.
Though.
Yeah, but John Howard did it over 12 years. It's very different. He didn't put one extra dime into universities, and universities suffered. But like I said, we've doubled it, and people shouldn't be worried about the increases. We are struggling, to find fundings for a lot of things, and that we couldn't give them as much money as we wanted to. So, yeah.
Now, I guess this is going to be a hard. Many people are saying it's going to be a hard election for Labor to keep. Do you expect that you will that Labor will win this one?
Yeah, I reckon we have the tools to win. There's no doubt we have the policies in place to win.
But do you have the support?
Support by who?
The voters.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the opinion polls, it looks pretty dire, doesn't it? Really. But you always have to be optimistic, and anything can happen in politics. It really can. You have to look at, the Keating, the unwinnable election, and he won in the end.
But he was winning from a majority situation and not a minority.
And that's definitely, dampened politics in both sides. The hung parliament, it creates so many problems. But it has reduced one of the most prosperity eras. We've put major reforms through with that hung parliament, and it's one of the purest forms of democracy, really. You have to compromise or negotiate, and that's what democracy is. You have to give and take, and we have done amazing things in the last 4 or 5 years. So,
Now, that's the party as a whole. How do you feel you'll fare in this electorate?
I think this electorate's pretty good, actually. It doesn't. Yes, of course, we're all Labor Party isn't going too well, but this electorate doesn't really sway federally too much. It doesn't really.
It is a marginal electorate.
It is, but it doesn't swing. See, when Kevin Rudd came in, it didn't swing 5% like nationally. It did. It stayed the exact same. In the last election, 2010, it stayed the exact same as well. So it really is, like you said, a marginal seat, and anyone can win if you push enough and get out there enough and spread the word enough. You can win enough over. Only have to win over 3% of the population, and that might sound a little bit, but it is quite a lot. But it's doable, and for Labor as well. I don't accept this defeatist attitude, this negativity. Yes, we're going to lose, or how much are we going to lose by? The coalition has no policies, and when the election gets closer, the media should divert their attention off us and onto Tony Abbott, which he has no policy at all, really, on any issue. So people will come to the day and think, all right, what do I get out of this? Do I get more school education, disability? Do I get high broadband speeds? All these things factor in, and in the end, I think when we stop the leadership, speculation, all that drama, that will fade away and the substance will come back. And I no doubt the Australian people are smart enough to realise their choice in this.
Now, you raised leadership speculation, so I'll now run on that. Both Kevin Rudd and Julia Gillard had, I guess, fundamentally different ways of running the government and running the party. I guess in this area, playing devil's advocate, something does happen, leadership does change. Do you think there'd be much of a change on what affects the people in this region if a leader were to change?
It's a difficult question because you have multiple factors. I don't think the policy will change too much at all. I think the policy is, like I said, we'll explain before at the end of the day, that it's really on the policy. The popularity contest does definitely come into it, and it's the polls do say Kevin Rudd is more popular with the voters, but that could all fade away. A lot of things could happen between these next 3 months. It could be put in, but then you have to have a seamless transition. You have to have none of this, bombarding from inside the party of all these factors. On person to person in the electorate, like Kevin Rudd or Julia Gillard, I would have to say they do like Kevin Rudd. But still, there's all these complications, and when he was in power, when he was Prime Minister, the opinion polls were going down, down, down. And so if he was put back in, I don't have real assurance that he'll do, any more or any greater than Julia Gillard will. So I think, I'm not sure if it will change. I don't know if it will, but I'm not there in Canberra, so I'm not sure. But yeah.
Now, you're quite a young candidate. I know other media have covered this with Labor feels a young candidate and so on. How have locals responded to that? Is it an issue for anyone, or is it just a matter of you're just another person like any other person, and just you're a bit younger faced than they are?
Yeah. It's definitely a negative and a positive. From my experience, it's been a positive, especially with people are quite alienated from, disillusioned almost from both parties and the political system in general. And I guess having a new face and a new voice, it does refresh people. It does give people hope for the future, I think. And we need more younger people to come in all types of fields, have a vigorize the system, because it's, we have a lot of older, statesmen there. And there's nothing wrong with that. But you need new ideas, new people, new voices. And if I can be one of those to change a direction, change a policy point, that's great. I haven't had hardly any people say, you're too young for this. It's a young man's game. Young people should be getting into it now, especially when both sides are not popular at all, really. And but no, it's been quite positive, and you know, I think it's a challenge. It's a welcome challenge, and it's different, and it's a learning curve. But there's people around me, and there's my family, friends, very supportive. And there's a network, you know. It's not just me, and that's it, you know. But it's good.
Now you mentioned new ideas. What kind of, I guess, new ideas, especially which relate to the people in this electorate, would you bring?
Well, this electorate, it's like I said, it's very diverse. So you need, especially with the growth corridor, Warragul to Pakenham, you need more funding. You need more schools. You need more places, you know, for old folk and disability places and all those type of things.
But that would rely on the cooperation of the state as well to be able to get this, because those are state issues.
More difficult being a liberal, you know, held state now, and you know, to get any funding, it's difficult no matter what government it is. But well, with climate change especially, you know, that's Cameron was rightly said. It's, you know, one of the big moral challenges of our generation, and that's. From here, where we take climate change, where do we invest, where do we go forward, and that's what the carbon price is supposed to do. It generates a market-based mechanism, you know, which is funny. With being the Liberals, they're all for market-based programs, and they're against this one, you know, market-based program. So new ideas, especially for this, we have a great ability with hydro wave power in the strait down there. Wind power on the coast, very much important. Just new, especially in Maui, you know, you had the privatisation of the coal industry, and that saw heaps of people out of work, and it still is, like I said, double, you know, the national average unemployment down there. So it's a huge issue facing Maui. But we can, as a candidate, if I was to be nominated, elected, there's a plan there for a big community project, you know, heaps and heaps of money going into it to revitalise the community, to bring investment into local businesses, to bring having young people to stay in that community so it can grow the community. So I guess government has a huge part to play to revitalise regional towns and communities just by pure funding, having interests, you know. So I think that would be, I can bring a bigger regional opinion to the cabinet room, or, you know, the party room, because I think, you know, the Nationals stand up for you know, regional and rural Australia, but I don't see it at all. Yeah.
But in that light, I know recent concerns have come out, and there's protests today about coal seam gas, and Labor's policy seems to, well, there doesn't seem to be much action, I guess, coming from, or too much action coming from Labor on that. I mean, in what ways would keeping Labor in be different to Liberals for farmers in the electorate?
Coal seam gas for farmers, it's a huge issue. Huge issue.
So what would you do about it?
Well, I'll just say that I live on a farm, and we have a bore, so we rely on underwater, you know, supply, and that's what coal seam gas destroys, you know, water table, and that's a huge concern. And like you said, we don't have a concrete position on this. We don't know where we're going to go. We have a moratorium. The state government has a moratorium. Our position is to have a moratorium on this issue, and the feds, they don't really have much of a position set out quite yet. You know, I do advocate more research into the area, if, you know, either for we can exploit it or the damages it can cause. We just definitely need more research in it. But if it's just going to destroy the water table and create more problems to the solve, there's no damn point. You might as well just put up, you know, a wind farm and have coal seam gas, because it's just really, you know, we should be moving into other technologies, not into, you know, more fossil fuels. But just like on Sunday, they're having a protest down, I think, Leongatha, I think. So I'm hopefully going to get down there to have a protest there. Like I said, it's a very potent issue, and I hope that our party finds a concrete position. If I was, you know, voted in, I would help to form that, and I would be against it. Like, it's going to, like I said, present more problems than it solves. There's no point in, you know, having it. So, yeah.
Now, just, I guess finally, just how did you come into Labor, and I guess how did you come to be candidate? It's you're younger than Christian Zara was when he was chosen, and I know age is not really an issue, but it's an interesting choice.
Well, how did I become the nominee? I suppose, like, I was always a part of the party, so I knew the people in the party, and there wasn't anyone standing up. That, you know, Christine Maxwell, the previous nominee, she had 2 goes, and she's like, nah, we'll step aside, and then she wanted to mentor someone else, and I put my hand up and said, yep, I'll have a go, you know. And, you know, I spent a few weeks thinking about it, and the Liberals come out with their policy against Gonski, and I'm like, nah. you can't have that position. You can't have a position not having more funds for kids struggling. So that was my prime reason to get into it, because you need more funding for schools. So I just said, yep, I'll go for it. And then we went through the process, get the signatures, go out to branch meetings, present my case. And well, lucky for me, there was no challenge us. There was no vote actually taken. But in the end, everyone was happy with me, and I was approved by head office, and here I am. So yeah, but I'm very excited for the next 8 or so weeks, I think, to the election. I think more, 10 weeks. But yeah, and it's just starting, so it's going to get more intense and more challenging. But I look forward to it, and it's going to be great.
All the best. Thank you.
Thank you.